So we're almost there. Oh, we are there. Look at that.
All right.
Okay. Hey, it's Carne, presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston, 1015 Chicago Avenue, in between Maine and Dempster. The great thing about Mazdas, besides the fact that when you're behind the wheel of a Mazda, you feel like you're driving something luxurious, something like you almost shouldn't have access to, but Mazdas are affordable, and for that kind of luxury, it's amazing. But the great thing about Mazdas is you can have live performances in them. They never talk about that at the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. I've been there dozens of times. Never once do they say, you should really have a band in there. And yet, here we are. Go take a test drive at the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston, again, 1015 Chicago Avenue.
It feels like a missed opportunity.
Tell me something I don't know.
It's Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
To my right, I have Aaron Williams. He is a musician. He is the organizer of the Homegrown Arts and Music Festival, now on its 7th year. In the back seat, that lovable scamp sitting in the back seat, it's Brian Shamie from the Daily Herald, also the man responsible for Soundcheck. He is a local music enthusiast, fan, supporter, and a colleague.
Junkie.
He's also a junkie. You might find him in any shooting gallery or alley getting his fix. That's what Brian Shamie is all about. All right, so we're going to talk about Homegrown. We're going to eat food from Submarine Tender. This is a repeat visit for Carne. Submarine Tender. Are we in Forest Park?
Yes.
Yeah.
Forest Park. We have buttered garlic fries in the back seat.
And they are delicious.
They are calling out to me. Those smell so ridiculous. I'm glad that when we're done here, I'm just going home. And I'm glad I have nowhere else to be tonight, because we're going to do some damage with those, and you don't want to really spread that around. Yeah. All right. So before we talk, before we eat, you, Aaron Williams, are going to play. Now, you are performing, even though it's your event. You've got a gig. You're performing at Homegrown. When can we see you?
I'm playing at 6:30 on Saturday on the outside harvest stage at Homegrown.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Give us a quick music update. Is there new stuff on the way?
I'm going to be putting out another single from my Art of Electricity album called Soul, and it's going to be coming out probably about this time next week. I'm really excited about
fantastic.
that, too.
Now, if you're listening, this time next week might be now.
Mm-hmm.
So, there you go.
Yeah,
if
might
you're watching
be now.
on Facebook Live, it's this time next week. It's the magic of digital. But, all right, so what are you going to play? Are you going to play that song?
I'm going to play a different song called Ash. This is also off the album Art of Electricity, and you can find it right now streaming on Spotify and everywhere else.
Okay, give me a second here, because I'm going to point a microphone toward your guitar.
Cool.
Kind of pick that up, and then I'm going to turn the camera away from me, because you're performing. People don't
Focus
see
on
me.
the star.
Is Shamie going to sing backup vocals?
Yes, yes.
No.
Yes,
Really?
he is.
Come on. Do you have a lyric sheet?
I do. All you have to do is shine. You have to sing them. They're gang vocals.
Gang vocals. All right, so we are live in a Mazda.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Williams, go for it.
When the heart's changed more often than a changing seasons burning through the year, burning through your year. It's there to discover one love after another, get caught on the line. That's fine, gotta get what's mine. That's when she comes around, without a doubt it all goes down. Time to start believing. Yeah, she's ash in my coffee, I drink her anyway. This to remind me, burns and blows away. Like every day, yeah, yeah. The heartbreak hotel swinging to that new beat. Shake down that lonely street one last time. In the end, what's mine? Old-fashioned disillusion added up to 2 days. Standard of confusion. coffee, I drink her anyway. This to remind me, burns and blows away. Like every day, yeah, yeah. Beautiful lady, breathing her glory. Same old story, ash in my coffee. Oh, well, la-dee-da. Do you know what I mean? Passions, anxieties, sunset to sunrise, with our hearts on the line. No flesh off my back, whoa, no, head to the floor, whoa, down on one knee, never begging for you. No, yeah, yeah, she's there, she my coffee, I drink her anyway. This to remind me, burns and blows away. Like every day, yeah, yeah. Beautiful lady, breathing her glory. Same old story, ash in my coffee. Oh, well, la-dee-da. Whoa, yeah, she's ash in my coffee. I drink her anyway. Ash in my coffee. I'll drink her anyway.
Very nice, man.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. Aaron Williams, right there in the car. Sounding really good. I'm always impressed. I mean, this is a silly little podcast that I do in a Mazda. I'm always impressed when an artist will come in here and just come in here to take ownership.
Thank you.
You brought it.
Thanks, man.
That
Appreciate
was
that. It's good,
fantastic.
man.
And again,
Playing that song.
besides, he's not only a club member, he's the owner. Homegrown Arts and Music Festival happening in Lisle, so the 27th and 28th, starting at 1 o'clock both days? 1 o'clock both days.
1 o'clock both days.
500 bands playing over the course of 2 days.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is a lot. By the way, this is the shittiest parking lot in all of the West Suburbs.
really is.
There,
I didn't park you.
I went
guys,
around the
why?
block a couple times. I ended up parking on the street.
I remember this from the last time I was here. It is precarious because if you pass it, you think, "Oh, I can just go in on the other side." But if you try to go in on this angled side,
Not
there's
happening.
no way to park, and then people are very dangerously maneuvering around. They're Jenga-ing
fast.
their way through this.
Well, as I was walking through, there was a guy pulling out. It did like a 5-point bag.
Oh,
out
yeah.
just to get out of this spot.
It's like an Austin Powers three-point turn
exactly.
with the Zamboni. All right, so how are we going to do this? You have to divest yourself of your instrument, don't you?
Yeah, I can get rid of it.
All right, as you do that, we're going to keep tap dancing on the Facebook Live. I'm going to talk to
You wanna
Brian
pass it back
Shamie
here?
Cool.
about local music. Is there room for it there?
I think so.
Yeah,
I'll make room.
back there. Cool.
I'm aware of my car's limitations. Are you sure?
Oh, yeah.
As wonderful as Mazda is.
Colors and shapes. It's my thing.
Okay.
I just touched
Damn it.
it.
Nice.
I cannot
more room now, too.
balance this thing.
Excellent.
They're good.
I'm still keeping the fries, though.
You can have them.
You should.
I'm taking a few.
Just trying to put this. Okay, there we go. It's funny, Brian. When did you start covering local music?
I started about 4 years ago. We had one of my colleagues left, and I took over his column, and I was essentially regurgitating press releases for a little while, covering a lot of national stuff that was coming in, but I was always talking about local acts and how we needed to get more of that in the paper. And then I started to kind of sneak some of that into my column, well, what eventually became my column, and the response was pretty incredible. Like, the scene just loved it, the bands were just eating it up. And
Because
so
there's never enough coverage.
Oh, no. I mean, there are people who are doing some really great local coverage around the city, but there aren't enough people to cover all the musicians out there. So,
Not in the burbs.
It's
yeah,
true.
especially not in the suburbs, yeah.
I mean, as Aaron and I were talking inside Submarine Tender before you got here, Brian Shamie of the Daily Herald, I'm looking at this list. Now, there are some bands that I've played before in Demo 312 and 101 WKQX, names I'm familiar with, but I started getting further down. I'm like, shit, I don't know who some of these bands are. And that, I mean, to your point, there's never enough coverage because there are so many bands.
Oh, yeah.
Despite your best intentions and your enthusiasm for music, you're going to miss something.
Mm-hmm.
Just
There's a lot
playing
of
the
young
odds, you're going to miss some
sparking
bands.
up right now that are really young and hungry.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, though, that's one of the best things about Homegrown, too, is you have the opportunity to have all these bands together in one place. You can just wander from stage to stage and check out almost everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like I said, I played some of these bands. I played the Aaron Williams Band. Ember Oceans, I'm going to play again on Sunday night. August Hotel, Carne alumni. Black Bolts, I played. Weekend Run Club, Observing with Annie. Like Language, another Carne. In fact, I would say Like Language, one of my favorite in-car performances. I mean, it's a small pool to pull from, but they did a fine job of Like a Drug in here. Man Called Moon, who I'm going to play on Sunday night. Skied, who I've played a bunch. They're like a fuzzy garage rock
they're so good.
duo. They're cool. But I mean, some of these bands I've truly never heard of. Who are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to seeing some of the bands that I haven't seen live before. Man Called Noon I hadn't seen until I played with them at G-Man Tavern, and man, they just blew me away when I played with them about 3 weeks ago with Trick Shooter Social Club. So I'm really looking forward to their performance. But there's a lot of acts that I haven't seen play, and those are probably the ones that I'm excited to see the most, just to check them out. I've never seen Ember Oceans perform live. I've never seen August Hotel perform live, so I'm really looking forward. And Weekend Run Club, I've never seen all three of those bands.
Yeah, and they're all solid bands.
Yeah,
They
they're
really
really
are.
solid bands, and I'm really looking forward to seeing these young kids who are making kind of the new indie
Dude,
rock.
you look like you're 20. These young kids. Really?
The youngsters.
I am 20. Thanks. Appreciate that, James.
Which would mean you started this whole thing when you were 13. So was the feeling back then when you started this event kind of what it is now? I just want to create a place for local artists?
The playing field is a lot different. Back then, there weren't as many bands, as far as like really, really local bands that were able to record their own music and have a good social media platform and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. Things are very different now.
It was a lot slimmer pickings just 7 years ago. And the bands that I booked were mostly people that I knew personally, you know, I was connected with or someone recommended. But now that we're in the 7th year, a vast majority of these bands I never met before. And it's awesome. I'm really excited about it because that means the spirit of the festival is spread beyond me, and that's exciting.
Oh yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And was it always a partnership with Basecamp?
No, I've done it at 3 venues now. The first one was at a place called Players Pub. It was way up north off the beaten path, and that's why I continued doing Homegrown, because that first one that wasn't in DuPage County, it was way off kind of the beaten path, and like over 200 people still showed up to support local music on the first year. And there was probably only 6 or 7 bands on the bill. So, and then we went to Mullins, also in Lisle. We did it there for 2 years, and now this is our 4th year being hosted at Basecamp.
Wow, 4 years.
One of my big questions before we started, I've got my mic positioned in a weird place. One of my big questions was, what's his involvement? Like, Shamie's just here.
I'm just here for the food.
Are you just here as a fan, right?
This is like where me and Brian, I think, are always super connected and intertwined, and we realized this from an early time in our professional relationship and our friendship, is that we're super connected with these bands and our passion for the music, and we kind of rose together. He started his, like he said, he started his thing 4 years ago, and like I was one of the first.
Yeah,
Homegrown was probably
that
the
third
first.
Homegrown. It was the first time I had ever heard of it. I jumped in. Actually, Charlie from Fletcher Rockwell mentioned it like offhandedly that he was playing this festival, and I'd never heard of it. And so I pursued it. I interviewed Aaron, and I figured, what the hell, I'll go.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And that was actually a big part of what kicked off my involvement, like my hands-on involvement with the scene. People were so welcoming, and everybody wanted to talk to me. And I said, hey, this is great. I've just met a ton of new people. And I started pursuing those for stories that year. And it's been like that every year since. I meet a ton of people at Homegrown. The next few months, it's all about bands I met at Homegrown.
I want to keep talking, but I also don't want to deprive you your dinner. So let's break out some food.
Here you go.
Now this is an Aaron Williams pick. This is a place you've been going to since you were young.
Yep.
Is James.
I don't even know what that
It's a
says.
combination.
Oh, combination.
It was written on the inside.
Does that say beef?
Combination. So I've got like roast beef and something else in here.
Yeah, this one's mine.
Now I think I did the smart thing. I
Sub T, that's me, yeah.
I asked for no oil. Because I feel like with a sub sandwich, you're asking for trouble, especially
You
if
are
you're
asking
eating in a
for
car.
trouble.
So I'm going to
I
hold
got
up
oil
what
on mine.
I got oil. Here's
Thank you, Brian.
napkins.
All right.
Here's fries.
All right, so pretty standard sub there. Now we also got these garlic butter fries, which I guess is their thing. That's their signature.
It's so good.
And Shamie's just been back there quietly.
Eating the
garlic
fries.
fries.
Yeah, they're like half gone. I'm sorry about that.
right,
Except I'm
what-
not really sorry.
What'd you get, Brian?
I had the roast beef.
The roast beef. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got that and something else on this.
Ooh, good old sub tender. That's good.
Oh, that's really good. I like the bread.
Brian, I was telling
It has a
James,
nice mouthfeel.
I was telling James before you got here, when I used to go help my grandparents with their stuff when they lived here in River Forest, we'd always go to Alpine Sub. But that place has the weirdest and most awful hours, which we also discovered here. And this was always the second go-to. So since Alpine was closed, it's like, all right, guess we're going to Sub Tender.
This is your number 2.
Here we go.
And thank you, considering you're based in the Lisle area, thanks for coming up here.
Absolutely.
Because I got to say, driving here, I work by day in the NBC Tower. Driving here during rush hour, it felt like an eternity. Just getting to 290 from River North was forever. There was no quick way to do it. And the Eisenhower will never actually be drivable again. That's just...
We got to get Elon Musk here to make that 20-story highway and put it here on 290, please, in 9094.
Well, there was that like 20-minute delay on Cumberland because of the freight train.
Yeah.
So I was wishing
It
I
was
had a
just
helicopter.
it is a nightmare.
All right, I just got a big bite of cheese with this.
Nice.
It's really good.
This is delicious.
This is good.
Carne,
Excellent pick.
presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston, 1015 Chicago Avenue. Homegrown happens last weekend of this month, starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, both days. So beyond the music, you got other stuff going on too. I guess the arts part of the Arts Festival.
Yeah, we have, not only do we have 50 acts playing over 2 days, all from not from DuPage, but mostly from DuPage. A couple from McHenry, a couple from Cook County and Will County. But we have over 20 art vendors as well. And we're going to be doing some filming for promos and stuff for the future as well. So we're going to be doing all kinds of activities for people, not just the music, but the arts and the crowd participation. We really want.
And Basecamp can hold all this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we do. We have a majority of it outside, and that helps with that whole courtyard. And then the back where usually people have the ski hill and like the pool, and people use that area for preparations to do that. We use that for the vendor rooms, so we have a lot of space, a whole ton of space.
Brian, you want to talk about soundcheck?
Oh yeah. I'd love to. Soundcheck. So we've been going officially since March, and the response to that has also been pretty cool from the scene. Like musicians are really excited about it.
Let's start from the beginning. What is it?
Oh, okay. So Chicago Soundcheck. What I did was I took all of my local music coverage from the Daily Herald that we usually run in Time Out, and I started putting it on a website together called Chicago Soundcheck. We also pair it with monthly Spotify playlists. I have 2 incredible photographers that I work with who are constantly giving me new show galleries, so we have a lot of photos up there. We have weekly events. We have a fresh tracks post that we started doing a few months ago, where I'm just collecting like 10 or 15 like brand new singles, albums, videos. We have like Bandcamp and Soundcheck links on there. Just trying to make it as easy as possible for people to explore the local scene. Have it all right there in one place.
This reminds me, back in the day, when I did radio in the 90s, I was one of 3 people who did local music radio shows. It was me.
I listened to it.
I loved it.
It's awesome.
It was me at Q and a 1.
We're here because of you. You know that.
It was Richard Milne at XRT, and it was Chris Payne at 103.5. And we would communicate with each other. If I got something at the alternative station that was way more heavy, I would send it Chris Payne's way. Or if I got something that leaned more Americana, I would send it Richard Milne's way. And we all talked, because it is a small, big community. I kind of like having Brian here, like having that, because there aren't any other hosts doing radio shows for local music anymore. So Brian's kind of like the other radio guy.
I like that.
Yeah.
Multi-purpose, man. It's awesome.
There's just not enough media.
Well, what's pretty
coverage.
cool is if you look at that poster, I'd say, what would you say, Aaron? Like the top half of it, I've featured most of those bands over the last few years.
Yeah.
I know I've passed a few of those names over to you.
I
You've given me
booked
people to look
Like
into.
Language, Observing with Annie, and Gazebo Effect by your recommendation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I booked them before.
You hear that, guys?
They're one of the first bands booked because of our buddy back here.
Was your first time seeing Like Language at the KQX thing?
Yes.
Me
That's
too.
amazing.
Yeah.
You're there?
I was there.
Yeah, he was like everybody on the scene was there.
I was there.
It was a packed
That was
house.
fun. All those bands
was
were
working.
fantastic.
Yeah, I had spoken to them. Never actually seen them live though, so it was a cool experience. And then after like a couple months after that, I ended up doing a big interview with them. Great people.
They're really enthusiastic. They've been, very communicative with me and talking about what they can do to make the show a better promotion and whatever. It's been really cool. Very enthusiastic.
I regret to say I used to be able to read the comments, but I switched to a new camera, so I can't read the Facebook Live comments. I did see something nice that just came over, but now it's gone and I can't retrieve it. So thank you for commenting. We'll look at the comments after we're done recording and doing this thing. These the fries?
Those are
the fries.
Here we go.
The famous dripping in garlic and butter.
Hey, any place that has grape soda, I'm all over it. Good call.
There are like 4 different kinds of Nehi here, which, you've arrived at the right place, clearly.
I need to come down to Forest Park more often.
So organizing something like this, Aaron, as successful as it's been, and you see the trajectory it's going forward, there had to be hassles along the way, or hiccups, or things that kept you up at night.
Oh, yeah.
Like?
Most of the things that keep me up at night, when the things move up is, when band's not promoting and you have to go hit them up and be like, hey, promote.
I'm sure it's not like they're being willful and defiantly not promoting. They just don't know how, right?
Yeah.
There's an education there.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to teach with Homegrown too, because a lot of bands come into the scene and they don't know how much there is to it to keep up on your art and keep up on the scene and keep up on people's interests. It's a 24/7 battle, as we all know. And, some people just don't know how to get to that level where they can consistently pump out social media content or promotions without being, annoying or overbearing or whatever. That's the true art of it.
And it's not easy. I mean, I know with my own podcast, there are times where I think, oh, this is too much. Like, you're self-conscious about putting yourself out there like that.
Sometimes, yeah,
And
absolutely.
Especially on the creative side, there's almost a disconnect in your brain from the creation of art to the salesmanship of it.
Exactly. And that sometimes that can get frustrating because you want people to be really excited, and sometimes you can interpret that as they're not excited about the event or whatever.
Right.
But obviously the biggest thing that makes me nervous is weather. That's the biggest factor. The weather, and just things going smoothly. The greatest part about Homegrown is that everybody who goes, whether it's a band or a fan, or even if someone who's working there as a server or a bartender, all smiles. Everyone is super excited and happy to be there, and that's what makes it worth it for me, because it's a lot of work. I sacrifice my whole summer, man.
Oh, I bet.
And I sacrifice 6 months of my year to it. I mean, it takes away gigs from me, it takes away other things I can do with my family and stuff like that, but totally worth it because it helps hundreds of people in music. Why wouldn't I do it?
It helps hundreds of people, and it's in an area that really needs something like this.
Yeah.
I mean, downtown Chicago, or not downtown, but north side of Chicago, not a problem. They've got the whole.
They've got plenty of stuff
Yeah.
going on, and there's nothing. That's another thing about Homegrown is there was zero of this stuff going on. You couldn't even go to venues, and they weren't even playing local music. It was all cover bands.
All covers, exactly.
And I don't want to say that Homegrown has changed that, but it's definitely had a hand in changing it, in the burbs at least, because as you saw this year, all those summer festivals had local music this year.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them did. And there's a lot of other, original things going around that's promoting original musicians. And, I think that the spirit of what I was trying to spark has sparked a little bit. I've seen it. And that's awesome because it gives more people opportunity to get their music out there, which is hard.
Yeah, what it's doing is it's taking those original bands and it's putting them in the forefront.
Yeah.
Which, it's hard to get them up there.
I mean, these are bands that are making music at home. These are bands that are recording their music at home for the most part.
All original, all local.
All original, all local.
All right, so again, 27th and 28th of July in Lisle at Basecamp, 5750 Lakeside Drive.
That's right.
And on the weekend, easy to get to. If you're not from the suburbs or not from that area, you can fly right over the expressway.
Free parking, all ages.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then musically, you've got a new single.
Yeah, I got a new single coming out. It's called Soul. I did a record with Johnny K a few years ago called Art of Electricity. This is one of the greatest things I've ever done, and I have 12 songs I recorded for that record. But I've been releasing them
Incoming call.
Hang
Press
on.
the pickup button to answer.
What's up, bud?
That call was from the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston.
Nice. How convenient. Have him say a few words. Yeah, so I was doing that album with Johnny, and it's been out for a while, but I never put it out on social media platforms and streaming platforms and stuff like iTunes just because I'm super old-fashioned. I want people to buy the CD. And then after 2 years of realizing that was a stupid move, I've been
things are
slowly
changing, man.
putting this stuff onto online and as singles, not as the whole album. So Soul's kind of the next one up to bat.
Awesome. Okay, and then Brian, as far as the Herald goes, and as far as soundcheck goes, what should we be looking for?
Just keep on watching. We have our homegrown coverage is going to be rolling out next week. Tomorrow we have a special summer soundcheck edition that's going to be in the Daily Herald paper with a lot of festival coverage. And actually, Homegrown is mentioned in that too.
All right. Nice.
Let's see. I have a couple. Well, Trick Shooter Social Club is in tomorrow's paper. I did an interview with them. Yeah, they're this month's featured band. I'm disappointed that they're not going to be on the set.
Incoming call. Press the pickup.
But yeah, just keep watching. This weekend there will be a whole new Fresh Tracks post out with a whole lot of new music, and just keeping tabs on the scene.
Love it. All right, Carne presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston, who keeps calling. We will see you at Homegrown. Thank you,
Yes,
gentlemen.
so glad to be
Bye,
here.
guys.
Thanks a lot,
Let's
James.
keep eating.